after his conviction related to the shooting death of Breonna Taylor. I want to show you that courthouse in Louisville. You see people gathering here as this has just come in. Here's why this matters. We're talking about Brett Hankison, that former police officer. It was recommended by the Department of Justice that he face 1 day behind bars. Could have been life, was 1 day. Now we have the sentencing from the judge, obviously far more than what the Justice Department had recommended. Let me bring in Shaquille Brewster, who's joining us now. And just to give the backstory here on this, remember, he was found guilty last year of violating Breonna Taylor's civil rights during that 2020 raid on a no-knock warrant that is now illegal in her home state here. He didn't fire the shot that killed Taylor, but did shoot his gun into the wall, into her home, et cetera. Now we have this number, 33 months. Any indication as to how the judge came up with this figure? It is obviously very different from what the Justice Department had recommended, that very controversial 1 day.
That's right, Hallie. And, you know, that headline literally just coming out in the past couple of seconds from the AP on their wire. So we're checking to see if there's any more information. I don't know if you just saw in that shot outside the courtroom, you saw some of the reporters running out. So we'll get a little bit more information in the next couple of moments here. But yes, the key thing is that this is more than what the Department of Justice asked the judge to sentence this former police officer. Remember, they said, can you just give him that 1 day of time served and then 3 years of supervised release? But, Hallie, it is much less than what the family of Breonna Taylor was hoping for. I spoke with them just ahead of this sentencing hearing, and they wanted to see a sentence closer to what the guidelines would suggest. And federal sentencing guidelines get very complicated, but even in that sentencing memo from the Department of Justice, they said that essentially the probationary office said that he should be facing somewhere between 11 to 14 years in prison. Of course, he's not facing that now. We have that 33 months that the judge has sentenced him to at this point. But just going back to what we heard ahead of this, you know, when that sentencing memo came out, there was a lot of outrage. You had the mayor of Louisville saying that he wanted Hankison to face a serious sentence. The governor suggested that politics was involved in the Justice Department asking for that lower sentence. And part of the reasoning in that is that this is a departure. This is the Justice Department and federal government spending years to prosecute this former officer. This is the second trial that he faced. This first one ended up in a mistrial. This one ultimately, he was convicted on one of the 2 counts that he was facing. And many people noting that the prosecution team, when they filed this memo suggesting that lower sentence, the team that prosecuted him in this case, they did not sign this memo. Instead, it was political leadership that ultimately signed this memo. So a lot more to figure out, I really am curious to know how much of that conversation, how much of that 4.5 hours or so of the sentencing hearing was about the judge asking them about this decision. But ultimately, she coming down and sentencing Hankison to the 33 months in prison, Hallie.
Let me pull back up that live shot, too. And I know it's just the door at this moment. But at one point earlier in the day, we had seen, I believe it was Breonna Taylor's aunt be arrested, according to a citation that our local station shared with us there. Do we know what that was about, why that was? I just think it's notable given just the context-wise, how much of a nerve Breonna Taylor's death struck across the country, right, at the height of the Black Lives Matter movement, and now, even now, in Louisville, Kentucky as well.
No, exactly. And, you know, there's definitely still that emotion there. I think we have another camera outside the court where there's an active demonstration underway right now. In terms of Breonna Taylor's aunt, who apparently was arrested earlier in the day, you saw a handful of demonstrators try to take to the street, and they were blocking traffic. There was another woman who was in front of a vehicle hitting it and kicking it. Police quickly showed up less than 15 minutes after that happened and put anyone who was in the street in custody. It seems as if Breonna Taylor's aunt was charged with disorderly conduct and obstructing a highway. There was a mugshot that ultimately was released. We did actually hear from the Louisville Police Department commenting on what you're looking at right now. And they say, we understand this case caused pain and damaged trust between our department and the community. However, what we saw today in front of the courthouse in the street was not safe, acceptable, or legal, Hallie.
Shaq, before I let you go here, this is not the end of it, though, right? Because there's yet another sentencing, I believe, that's coming up down the road.
Yeah, that's right. And this goes to, when you look at this case, there's the actual shooting of Breonna Taylor. There's this one that Hankinson was charged with for firing through that closed sliding glass door. But there are about 3 other officers who have been charged with. One of them actually pled guilty to charges involving the warrant that led officers to Breonna Taylor's apartment. Essentially, they're accused of falsifying the affidavit that then created that warrant, so to speak, and then tried to cover that up in the aftermath. One of the sentencings will be taking place, or is scheduled to take place, next year. 2 other officers, former officers, I should say, have not, they've just been charged. They have not faced trial just yet, Hallie. So there's much more to go in this case.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.